Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. We are here live. As always, we have Daniel Jacob Horine, the artist and creator of Pop Fly Pop.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. We are here live. As always, we have Daniel Jacob Horine, the artist and creator.
There we go. That's what happens when you're live sometimes. But over here, we have Fred Lynn, great, amazing Red Sox in sort of soft protest. I'm wearing my Angels gear, but I respect that you are a Red Sox. Fred Lynn, thank you for your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It's a privilege and an honor. Thank you.
Maybe you're a Fred Lynn fan and you have no idea what this is. Pop Fly Pop Shop is the baby child of Daniel Horine. Every week he makes a baseball print, and it is a 1 week only, and then is retired forever on Sunday. So Daniel, can you show the print this week? This is a comic book style cover. Just go to popflypopshop.com. And this week it is Fred Lynn patrolling Fenway Park in center field. We'll get to the print when it gets, oh, here we go. There he is, probably hurting his ribs, jumping up against the
that was before padding, gentlemen. Yeah, every time you hit that baby, they call it a green monster for a reason. It fought back.
I don't know if you've seen any of Daniel's work before, Fred Lynn. He actually did a green monster print. Daniel, are you able to bring that up?
Yep.
Here's the green monster.
I love that.
Next to each other. What's your thoughts in sort of seeing your career, like the Green Monster and you yourself together in comic book style art, Fred Lynn?
Well, I have to say that when I was a kid, comic books were really in vogue for my generation of guys. When we didn't have cell phones or anything like that. So comic book heroes and people that were on the cover were legendary. You know, that's the Superman stuff. And I go back to the superheroes days. So when I see myself like at the cover of a comic book, I said, well, I finally made it. This is it. And this is the pinnacle. But I had a drawer full of comic books. And that's one way we got to read. You read the stories and they were pretty cool, to be honest. Instead of watching TV, we did those things and they cost a dime. So even back then, we could afford to do it. But it's really cool to see what Daniel did with me and the Green Monster there. I ran into that puppy a few times. And like I said, it was not padded then. It was made out of concrete. Wow. So you can imagine running full speed and then jump into a concrete wall, what it feels like.
Are you the reason that they made the padding?
I am. Yeah, in the 1975 World Series, Game 6, we had to win that game, and everybody in America was watching. And Ken Griffey Sr. hit a ball into the gap, and I tried to run it down. I ran out of real estate, and I hit the Green Monster full speed, and down I went. And I thought I broke my back, so I lay motionless out there. Everybody thought I was knocked out, but I was fully conscious. I just couldn't feel anything from the waist down. Wow. So I was pretty scared, to be honest with you. And so at that moment, the commissioner was there. I mean, we had senators there. We had all kind of people watching there live. And then on TV, everybody saw it. So the next year, the owners, in their infinite wisdom, said, maybe we should put some padding on these things to protect the players. So that's when padding started to happen after Game 6 of 1975.
Wow, what a story. I do want to give a chance to all of the fans out there. If you have a question you want to get asked to Fred Lynn, send that question in, and Daniel will comb through those. If he picks yours, you'll get a little Pop Fly giveaway. And there also is an autograph option. So when you go to popflypopshop.com, notice there's an autograph option if you would like it, or there's an inscription as well. Let's talk about that rookie year. I mean, rookie of the year, MVP. And look, I love Ichiro. He's one of my favorites. But to give MLB still has to correct this a little bit. When it's not fair to give guys like Ohtani the rookie of the year when they're coming in. Ichiro was 27 years old, much different on ramp rather than a rookie. So only legitimate rookie of the year and MVP, in my opinion. Then you go to the World Series. Talk about that first year, Fred Lynn.
Back in those days, being a rookie, everything is new to you. Every time there's a new ball game, you've never seen the pitcher. You've never seen the ballparks. I mean, every time I went to an opposing player's park, the first thing I would do is go out there and see what center field looked like. I would test the walls, fences, whatever they were made out of. I wanted to see if I could hit them and see what kind of damage it would do if I did. So every day you did that kind of homework. There was nobody telling you about these things. You did it on your own. And just like if you have a great day, like in June of 75, I hit 3 home runs and drove in 10. Then we got on a plane and went to Baltimore facing Jim Palmer. So you can't really worry about what you just did. Now you got to face Jim Palmer. Well, I know who he is, but I don't know what he throws. So every day was a learning experience. And when you're not at the ballpark, you're in new cities. I've never been to New York before. I've been to Chicago. That's where I was born. But all these other cities, you don't even know where to go to a restaurant to get something to eat. So it's just a barrage of information that's happening for rookies back then. I think today's rookies, they have a lot more information. Said, here, this guy does this, or you can watch him on video. Like this is how he throws. We didn't have that. I might talk to Yastrzemski about guys because he was a left-handed hitter like me. And so that's the only information that we got. We just used our eyes and our brains. And so fortunately, as far as the team was concerned, we had Dwight Evans in right and Jimmy Rice in left, and I was in center. We're all like 22 years old.
Wow.
And then Rick Burleson's our shortstop. He's 22. So we had a lot of young guys going through the same thing at the same time. So there was no focus on any one of us because we had a whole bunch of young guys. And I think you could sneak up on the league back then because there was no media attention. The first interview I ever did was when I got to the big leagues. I mean, these guys are doing interviews when they're in 8th grade. So, the media, that's a whole different thing. They're used to all those things. As far as how the team played in 75, we were really good. And it was so much fun to play on that team with so many young guys. And I think that's why we related so well with the Boston fan base. There's a lot of colleges in Boston, right? So there's a lot of young people basically our age watching us play. So I think it's really fun for the fans to be able to identify with so many young guys on a team. And obviously we're pretty good too.
Did that give you a false sense of reality? Sort of like Rookie of the Year, MVP, World Series? This game's pretty easy.
Well, I knew that it wasn't easy, but my track record as an amateur, I had a lot of success. I went to the University of Southern California. I was a Trojan, and we went to 3 College World Series, and we won them all. So I had done some things, and then Jim Rice and I got called up in 1973 to AAA. We won the AAA World Series. So I had a pretty good background for getting to the big games and winning. The biggest surprise in 1975 was not just getting to the World Series, but losing. I never lost before. So that was different. That's what really stuck with me. To get to Game 7 and then lose 4-3 on a bloop single, it took me a while to. I don't think I ever got over it, to be honest. So yeah, it wasn't easy getting there. To me, that's what I did, and I expected to be there.
Now, one way I've matured as a baseball fan is when I was younger. I just want my outfielders to dive for air. Oh, you could have dove. What's the matter with you? And now it's funny. I'm like, don't dive. Like, Trout, we don't want you to get hurt. Did Boston, like management, they ever talk to you like, hey, Fred, calm it down a little bit. Like, we need you the whole season. We're up 8-1. We don't need you crashed into the wall.
I never really sustained an injury directly from running into a wall or diving. Let me amend that. When I was with the Angels, you'll love this. We're playing in Detroit, and I went over the wall, and that fence is not padded. And on the top of the wall was a 1-inch steel rail, and I hit that with my ribs, and I cracked 3 ribs. So that was the only time that I was really injured, where I had to come out of games. But other than that, yes, every team I play for, the manager would come up to me and say, "Listen, we need your bat in the lineup. Don't be running into stuff." Yeah. So I said, okay, that sounds good. But as soon as I get in the game, I'm not going to hang my pitcher out to dry. If I can catch a ball, I'm going to go after it. And my thought process was always this: if it stays in the park, I'm going to catch it. That's my job. And I'm as far as my ability to do that, I was pretty good at it. Yeah, did I get banged up along the way? So yeah, sure. But people remember those things. They don't remember me hitting much, but they remember the plays I made in the outfield.
They don't remember your batting title?
Well, not really. When I see fans, other than the game I had in Detroit where I drove in 10 runs, and I bet I've had 100,000 people say, I was there. And then there was like 10,000 people there. I don't know how that worked out, but most of it is defense generated. And I like that personally because I played multiple sports as a kid. And when I play football as a defender, you intercept a ball, you deflate the offense from the other team. Basketball, you steal a inbounds pass, you score, that's deflating. But in baseball, when you play, say I'm in Yankee Stadium in front of 55,000 hostiles, and then you make a play, you can just let the air out of a stadium. That is so cool to do. Not many people get to do that. And when you do, it's a wonderful feeling.
I mean, it seems like because you were such an intense player, the way you're describing, was that hard to leave Boston where the fans are in on every pitch? And I love my Angels, but I was at the game last night and the Cub fans took over our stadium.
Yeah,
like, where'd you get that energy from at a?
You know what? That's a great point. Growing up in LA, in the LA suburbs, the fans, they like their teams, but, the tendency is to come early and leave early or come late, leave early, and they didn't have the same intensity like the fans in Boston. Now, maybe it was because we hadn't won and that we'd been so close so many times that the fans just are so anxious all the time just to win. But I was just there in Boston, and the fans are still intense. I mean, they want their players to do well. And so as a player playing in Fenway, as a Red Sox player, you feel that intensity.
Yeah.
You better bring your mental A game when you come there. No dogging it, no lackadaisical, anything. Because the fans are going to let you know one way or the other. They can love you, but they're going to let you know if you're not doing your job. I missed that intensity when out west. It wasn't the same. You almost had to generate it yourself because the ballpark isn't as intimate, right? The fans aren't right on top of you. But I never felt that energy unless it's a big game. Angels, our rivals were Oakland then, Kansas City. And then felt a little bit more intensity because the importance of a game. Every game's important in Fenway. I don't care if it's April or May or September. The fans feel the same way. And I thrived off that. I'm a football guy too, so I like the energy of fans. I thought I played better in front of bigger crowds. I just kind of was more mentally into it. So I missed it when it wasn't there.
Yeah. I'm jealous of those other fan bases. I'm the guy trying to get our crowd into it. Like, come on, guys. Hey, Daniel, can you show the print again? Again, this is only available until Sunday, and it is retired forever. Autograph options on there. Daniel, is there anything about the print you'd like to share with Fred Lynn? I know you shared to me some of the nuances.
Yeah, I think, the obvious kind of Bostonian font there up at the top. But one of my favorite details is actually the little cameo there at the bottom right. You had nine All-Star appearances. I think they were all consecutive. And your last one was very significant. You hit the only Grand Slam in All-Star history. So that ninth star there is just a little bit larger than the rest of the stars there in that circle there. So that was a fun little call out to that accomplishment.
I appreciated that, Daniel. And you kind of gave me a heads up, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, okay, 75 cents that, I see that's 70, obviously reference into 75 season. But the 9-time All-Star, I mean, I had to figure out that one. I was like, I have to count these stars. Oh, 9. Hey, how about that? And then the larger one. And then I said, okay, I get it. Because my last All-Star game is when I hit the Grand Slam. So nicely done. I mean, you have to be like a detective now, right? You should have okay, there's 10 things on this comic that you can find.
I should do exactly that.
I love that it was Vince Scully on that call too. That just made it even better.
Yeah, I agree. Growing up in Southern California, Vince Scully listened to him and Jerry Doggett do the Dodger games as a kid. You know, I remember when I was in the 6th grade, I had a good report card, came home, and my dad got me a little transistor radio, right? And so those things had a little earbud. And when I'm supposed to go to bed, I'm supposed to go to bed. Well, I put that little earbud on and it put the covers over my head, and I'd listen to Dodger games when I was a kid. And Vin Scully was one of the announcers, right? So fast forward to 83, he's the announcer when I hit the grand slam. And boy, a ball didn't go in the seats, and he's already on it. He already knew that was the first grand slam ever hit. I said, how do you know that? I didn't even know that.
He's been, that's how.
The guy knew his stuff, right? I mean, we were so spoiled living in Southern California, the quality of the announcers that we had to listen to. And he told stories, and oh gosh, it was just, mesmerizing to listen to him. And then to have him make that call for, the first time only a Grand Slam in an All-Star game, that was pretty special for me.
Mm. One thing I appreciate about your career too, Fred Lynn, is I'm a sucker for like center field, shortstop. I want my guy to be super great defensive, and I don't want an outfielder. I want a center fielder. I want the John Fogerty put me in center field kind of guy. And I think of you, Edmonds, Andrew Jones was amazing, Kirby Puckett, obviously. It seems like we're losing that in today baseball. Like we don't have as many true center fielders where they're going to spend their whole career there. Do you have a thought on that on current MLB?
I do watch games, and when I watch a game, if I'm at the game, I kind of like being there better because I watch the outfielders. I watch their movement, especially center field. I see if they're moving on the pitch. Sometimes when you're seeing the game on television, you don't get that view, so I can't really see what's going on until there's action. But when I'm at a game, I specifically watch the center fielder to see what he's doing. And a lot of times today, I see the pitch being thrown and there's no movement. They're waiting for the ball to be hit. Well, that's too late. That's too late. If sometimes you're talking about an inch or two from you either catching a ball or missing it. Well, you can gain that by be moving. As soon as the pitch goes, you're flinching, you're moving. Especially if you can see what location is, you can fudge that way. And that's the difference between making a catch and not. And it takes defense, to me, is a want to proposition because there's a lot of mental energy that goes into it for me. Every pitch I'm moving. You do that every pitch for a game, and you multiply that times how many games you play. I mean, it's exhausting. That's why they call it the dog days of August. Yeah, you get physically tired, but mentally, if you're playing defense like that, yeah, it wears on you. But the good ones do it. You'll see them; they're moving. Infielders, you should on the balls of their feet. They're always flinching, and that means they're into it. So your question about true center fielders, what used to bug me about looking at a baseball card? It said Fred Lynn outfield. No. It doesn't say Nomar Garcia Parra infield.
Yeah.
It says shortstop. There's 3 positions in the outfield. They're all different. I played them all, and everyone has different responsibilities. They are positions. Don't say outfield. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. So when you pick all-stars, you should pick positions. Don't pick outfield in general. Pick the position. I mean, there's lots of things you need to know in every position. You can hear the anxiety in my voice. I could speak about defense for hours. There's so many little nuances to every position, but just don't lump me in there with that outfield thing. Ooh.
Yeah, and in the print here, if you notice here, are the watchtower of center field there, right at the very very top.
Oh yeah.
Not the outfield.
Back, when we played in my generation, I'm not going to just say me, my generation of guys. Okay, the center fielder was in charge of positioning the outfield.
Yeah.
Number one, we saw the pitch. We had a better view of where the pitch was relationship to the target for the catcher. So we could see if our pitcher was on that day or if he's missing his target by a lot. So, if I see something in a swing, because I have a better view, I might whistle over to my right fielder. Hey, move over. We're going to slide this way, like a zone defense in football. One guy moves, you all move. Well, that was my responsibility to make sure we were in the right spot for the time of that at bat, whoever was hitting. And I might move them on pitches. If I move them 10 feet, I got to move my flank outfielder with me. I can't leave a big gap out there, right? Well, today, they're looking at little cheat sheets on their wrist. I don't know what's on there. I'd love to see what's on there, to be honest. But they already have all these analytics to say, okay, this hitter against this pitcher is going to hit the ball predominantly this spot. Okay, I'll use that as a guideline. It's not etched in stone for me because the conditions might be different. What was the weather like when you're getting all these balls hit? Was the pitcher on that day? I mean, was he throwing his good stuff? There's so many variables that go into where a hitter hits the ball. If I'm hot as a hitter, I don't care who's throwing. I'm going to hit you. But if I'm not, the balls are going to go in a different spot. So it's a guideline for me. That's a guideline only. It's not etched in stone. And today, the guys have all this stuff handed to them, and it's not their fault. I'm not blaming the players. This is how they were brought up. So this is all they know right now. And so I hope that some of them still use their brain and what they see sometimes to say, well, I don't think I agree with what we're doing here. Let's try something different.
That's such a good take. And yeah, we've lost the center fielders, the Torrey Hunters, the Fred Lynns, Jim Edmonds. I loved Bellinger, but I don't like how the Dodgers used him, going back and forth from first base and sitting him. Corbin Carroll, I'm high on this guy on the D-backs. I don't know if you've seen him play this year.
I have not.
He's a rookie this year. This might be the next guy. We'll see. But
in today's game, Kiermaier, he can run him down.
Yeah.
But I can't really offhand think of a guy that I would say, okay, that's my defender. I mean, it was Jackie Bradley Jr. For a time, and he was as good as there was that I saw in center field. But there aren't many guys that, if they are the guys that can run them down, they're the total package where they can hit as well. So, that's a rare breed, to be honest. Again, my generation of players, the team was built upon the guys up the middle, catcher, short, second, and center. These are where your first line of defenders. Their job was to catch the ball first. And if they hit, well, that's a bonus. Today's world is a little bit different. Everybody has to hit. But the guts of your defense is up the middle. So these guys should all be able to catch the ball.
And I'm wondering, we have a tendency, I think, where then we start, when they get older, we move the center fielders to the corners for their legs.
That's right.
What we're missing out on is that head knowledge. So, let's put the 21-year-old in center, but the guy who should be directing the 21-year-old is now in the corner.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a perfect scenario right here in San Diego. I just live up the coast. And Tatis Jr.
Yes.
Now, he's a shortstop, right?
Yes.
So, they've got Bogarts now. So they've moved him to the outfield. Well, they just moved him from right to center because the center fielder wasn't hitting. So shortstops can play center. It's been done. Robin Yount did it back in the day. And they're gifted athletes. They can move. They're very athletic. So I think he'll be able to do it. But hopefully somebody is giving him a little bit of a tutorial about what needs to happen out there. You can use your ability to catch balls, but sometimes you got to use your head too.
Yeah.
So I hope that I know he has athletic ability to do it. I think he'll be a good fit there. It's going to take him maybe a little bit to learn the position and just see how the balls fly out there. It's a little different than right. So I think he'll be a fine fit. But when you start moving guys, position-wise, here's what happens. They start becoming consumed about the new position, and they forget about their hitting. Because now they're thinking so much about how to play this new position, and they might have some anxiety about it, that it might affect their hitting. I'll tell you a great example. When I went to the California Angels, Brian Downing had moved from catcher to left.
Yeah.
Okay. So now he's learning a new position. And this is a catcher now going to the outfield. And I said, well, first off, when I went over there, I said, hey, here's the deal, Brian. Ball's hitting the gap. Don't go running over there. I don't want to run into you. You know, he's a big dude, right?
Yeah.
And he could run. And I said, so we're not doing that. But I could see him get so nervous about playing left because it's new for him. He's trying to learn a position in the big leagues. You know, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And then make sure that you can still hit too. So when you start flipping guys around, you know, not only do you cause chaos where they're moving from and to, but you might cause chaos on the offensive side as well.
Wow. These are such good insight that us fans don't think about. Hey, Daniel, any questions there for Fred Lynn that pop up?
Yeah, there's a lot of love for you, Fred, here in the chat here. Now, I got to be honest. I love a good legend. I love a good curse. and James Wynett asked about what your perception was of being in the thick of the curse of the Bambino. And before you answer that, I'm gonna show this here. I'm sorry, Fred Lynn.
There it is.
But the curse of the Bambino, and that's one of the things I love about baseball is just the weirdness of it and the quirkiness and these legends and myths. So in the thick of it, what was it like in the curse of the Bambino?
Good question.
It's a great question, and here's my answer for 75. We're going through the pennant race, right? To be honest with you, I had never heard that term before.
Wow.
No one ever brought up the curse of the Bambino. You know, the 67, we had a couple guys on the 67 team that got to the World Series against the Cardinals, Yastrzemski and Petrocelli. I think that's about it, though. And so I hadn't heard that until I think this started to happen after the 86 World Series with the Mets and the Red Sox. When some kind of bizarre things happened at the end in Game 6 and Game 7. And that's when I started hearing about that. You know, we used to hear things like in April, we lose a close game. Oh, they're doing it to us again. You know, they've been so close. But I never heard the curse of the Bambino until after the 86 World Series. Wow. That's when I started hearing it. And then, of course, every year thereafter, Red Sox are still pretty good. You know, as soon as they're near the playoffs, you'd hear that. Or if they got in the playoffs, that came up. But as a player, I didn't hear that in 75.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that's probably good. There's a couple more questions here from the stream I'd like to ask you as well. And we talked about this a little bit, but he says, you're in the record books as the only player to hit a grand slam in the All-Star game. What accomplishment are you most proud of in your career?
Yeah, that's it. You know, I never really played the game to win individual honors. You know, I've won some trophies and have done some things. But to be honest with you, that moment stands out as a real highlight. And I'll tell you why. The National League was beating us like a drum in the All-Star game. I think they won 11 out of 12. And that was in 83 is my 9th All-Star game. And we had won one. I mean, there were some close games, but the National League was throwing out the same guys every year. I mean, you look out there, it's the same guys. American League was a little bit in flux. We had a lot of new guys coming to make the All-Star team. And I don't care who you are. That first time you're on an All-Star team, you're nervous because you're envisioning. I played with Henry Aaron my first All-Star game.
Wow.
You know, here's a guy I watched as a kid. And now he's my teammate. It was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. So you can get overwhelmed by the whole situation. So they're beating us like a drum. We finally win that game. I hit the grand slam in 83. And the American League finally got off the snide. And if you look at the record books, since 1983, the American League has dominated the Nationals. So that was a big turnaround for the league. And I'm an American League guy. And, you know, Lee McPhail was the president of the American League. He'd call us individually before the game. Freddie, we got to win this game. You know, they're beating us. So there was a real rivalry. You know, back then, the National League and American League had their own umpires, their own president, their own baseballs, their own strike zones. So there was a lot of pride to win that game. And we took it very seriously. And so when we finally won that one, and I was pretty instrumental in the victory, that was a big moment, a really big moment.
Rad.
That's great. That's awesome. One last question for you, Fred Lynn. This is one I love to ask, and I ask it almost every time. If you could choose your legacy, what would it be?
Boy, that's a really good question. I think that I want to be remembered by the fans as a guy. Now, I did have my share of injuries, but as a guy that when he was out there, he did everything that he could do to win that game. He wasn't looking forward to down the road tomorrow, 2 months from now. He did everything that he could possibly do physically to win that game, whether it be get a base hit, steal a base, throw somebody out, or make a great play against the wall. And that's how I'd like to be remembered, as the guy that just wanted to win and would do anything and everything to accomplish that goal.
I love it.
Yeah, let's show that print one more time, Daniel. Go to popflypopshop.com. It is only available until this Sunday, and it is retired forever. There's autograph options. This is Fred. Don't call him an outfielder. He's a center fielder. Lynn, thank you so much for your time today, Fred Lynn.
Hey, guys. It was a great pleasure to be on with you. And Daniel, thank you for making me look good.
You made it easy, Fred Lynn.
I've achieved my goal now. I'm on the cover of a comic.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cool. Thank you so much. Woo, that was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of the times when you get to interact with the player, we sort of like, so have you ever like seen a comic? Sometimes they're like, nope.
Yep.
And so there's no like connection on that layer.
Uh-huh.
And so it's really cool seeing someone like, I'm on a comic book.
Yeah, he brought it up too. It's like, I love comics as a kid. I were only 10 cents, and now I'm on one, and that's really cool. It's a fun moment because those worlds definitely collided for me as a fan. But you kind of made the point yesterday, or our last interview was, if you're probably either playing baseball or you're reading comics. Those those spheres don't often intersect for these big leaguers. But glad it did for him.
Well, I think he perfectly kind of made that connection too, of a heart behind your project is baseball players are superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's cool to see that connection just come out from a player perspective.
Absolutely.
He brought up a really good point that I was trying to say, but I couldn't figure out the words. And it's like in fantasy baseball on our Pop Fly League, we have 3 outfielders.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like almost taking offense. I am not an outfielder. I am a center fielder, damn it. And like that is what should be on my card.
Yeah, and it's funny in that he didn't say that so specifically when we were talking behind the scenes, but it was very clear there was lots of pride in the defense, and not only pride in the defense, but pride in the defensive position, not the defensive area. So that was clear from him without him even saying it so specifically in the very beginning, and so that was a no brainer to put him in a defensive position on the Pop Fly.
Because this is a huge trend in baseball we see where a rookie guy comes up, they're center field, they got their young legs, and then like we talked about, when they start hitting maybe 30, we shift them to left or to right because they are not as fast as they once were, and we put the faster guy in center field. But what he's bringing up is he can see stuff going on with the batter and the pitcher where he's going to know, oh man, the left fielder should come in. Because of the way this guy's swinging, it's going to come up on the line. And like, we're missing that if we're taking away our veterans from the center field where they can actually move their peers around. And it's like, man, that's what I want in my center fielder.
Totally. That was a great point. And I can't remember what other interview we had this conversation, but it was like right when we have the benefit of the knowledge and the experience, yes, our body kind of diminishes as our experience and knowledge, wisdom, acumen increases, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's, we're missing out. And I think a guy like Buxton on the Twins, he's an amazing power hitter and outfielder, but the Twins are moving him out just because he keeps getting hurt all the time. And so we're seeing a rarity of guys like Fred Lynn who are just, I'm going to play my entire career in center field from beginning to end. I'm going to abuse my body. I'm going to contend for batting titles. And that's my career. It doesn't feel like we're going to see those guys anymore.
Yeah, totally. I'll ask you a question that was actually meant for Fred Lynn. See what you think. Put Evan on the spot. And so in your opinion, who is the best defensive here? I'll show it, make it official. Who is the best defensive center fielder in the game today? Who do you like to watch, Evan Sigson?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm an Angels fan, so I'll try not to be too homer biased. I loved Erstad and Edmonds out there. I'm going to probably have to say Andrew Jones. Jones. And if you only saw him late in his career, erase that. That's not fair. I'm talking Braves, Andrew Jones. I don't think there's anyone better. In fact, anyone else in the chat, send in who do you think? Who's your answer?
Yeah,
greatest fielder.
Yeah, I'll shout them out when they come through. Yeah, I feel I feels like I'm going to be a Dale Murphy advocate and apologist here, but I feel like Andrew Jones was the heir apparent for Dale Murphy out in the outfield. No. I mean, it is a good thing. I think Dale Murphy was a great defender, and Andrew Jones the heir apparent for that. That's my call. It's my hot take. Thomas Baird, hi Thomas. He says he agrees with you on Jones.
Puckett was great. Current day would be a harder question. I mean, that's the problem that we're suggesting is, hey, who's the top defensive center fielder? I don't know how quick we could come up with somebody. Maybe Marte now on the Mets. Carroll's a rookie on the Diamondbacks. He's my boy, but I mean, it's probably too soon to just call Corbin Carroll one of the best center fielders in baseball. I don't think I could just say who's the top center fielder is anymore. Yeah, I totally agree. Thomas Bear says for today's game, I think it's Hayward. Hayward is a strong, long-time guy. I mean, he was great was he on the Cardinals? He's on the Dodgers now. Is he even playing center field? Thomas, keep interacting. I mean, I know Betts is out there. And again, I sound like sour grapes because the Dodgers are my Angels' older brother who beats us up. But I don't like how the Dodgers just move guys around like they're playing video games where they're just like, oh, let's put Betts at shortstop. Why not? It's, put him at second base. Who cares? Is Hayward actually, how many games does he actually have at center field this year? That would be my question. And Paul D. Pyers says Paul Blair is his vote. I don't even know who that is. Yeah, I don't. Is this a retired guy? Let's look it up. Paul Blair, live research. Here's what we do before we go live. It's stuff like this. Paul Blair. See, okay, old time Oriole. Fair enough. Okay, so he retired like about the year I was born, so I don't feel so long time Oriole, Paul Blair. That's good deep cut there. Gold gloves I see. Yeah, so in the day of StatCast and sabermetrics and fantasy baseball, I think what I love that Fred Lynn has brought to the table is the John Fogerty put me in center field. We got to make center field sexy again. Ooh, give me a catcher, a shortstop, and a center fielder who that's their position. They're not there just because they happen to be there. They're not there because they're hitting 60 home runs, but they're there because they're captains. They're directing traffic. They're controlling the defense. They're watching. Wow, that hitter's elbow is 2 degrees higher than it was earlier. So you move over there. That's what I want. And a guy who's sacrificing literally his body, diving into cement walls. Totally. And yeah. And what's really standing out to me too, as I'm digging into this project too, is just how important the catcher is and the center fielder is, because they are the two positions that kind of with their peripheral can see everything. They are, so it's great to have that leader. And I think that you just named the next Pop Fly shirt is make center field sexy again. So watch out for that in the Pop Fly Pop Shop store. Woo! I want a free one. You got it. Well, Daniel, anything else going on in the Pop Fly universe that you want to share?
Well, in just a few days, it's Popfly's 3rd birthday, but we're celebrating all month long, and we're so excited. What started off as just an after work and weekends project turned into something pretty big and pretty cool. And we're talking to Fred Lynn today and other Hall of Famers and baseball players, and so it's gone to places we couldn't believe. And so we're celebrating all year long. We've got a few announcements coming. Announcement with the Hall of Fame coming up August 17th and 18th. Reserve your calendars. We have a Popfly in-person event happening at the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa. So a pretty unique opportunity there. So mark your calendars, and we'll see you there in Iowa in August.
So for now, you're not giving us more. Like, I saw someone already booked their hotel, but so right now you're just saying that's the date we're going to be by the Field of Dreams. But is that as much as you're slipping out?
Well, we'll be on the Field of Dreams.
Okay.
We will be playing on the Field of Dreams and interacting with the house up there that was in the movie.
When you mean playing, we're getting some baseballs, we're getting some wolf football. What are we doing out there?
The TBD. We're trying to work out those details, but we're planning something special there, and just to play on their fields. Families, we hope families can come out. We hope grown men can bring their even more grown dads out there and have a catch.
Okay, now flying and hotels and all that aside, what does that process look like? Is there going to be like a family ticket that you buy? Like, how's this working out?
That is all we're trying to figure out right now but there will be tickets, but in terms of like how much, where to get them, that is what we're actually my wife is in another room working on that very thing right now. So more details to come, but save the date.
What are those dates again?
August the 17th and the 18th.
17th and 18th. We're going to potentially play on the cornfield. We're going to have a catch. We're going to ride the Popfly magic carpet, and you're going to get us all to live out our dreams. We're just going to attach to you. Take us, Daniel. Take us.
Let's go.
All right. You've heard the dates. Block it out. Find some nice restaurants that we can tell our wives we want to take them to. And look what also happens to be going on. Let's go cruise over there and see what's. Thanks for the heads up, and we will look forward to more details as they come out. Any other things you want to share, Daniel?
No, just a lot of gratitude. Thanks. We were at release number 131 now, and it's unbelievable. So thank you for the support. We've got the Little General, the Mr. October, the Dr. K prints all heading out, and looking forward to more.
So last call again, go to popflypopshop.com, pick up your Fred. Don't call him an outfielder Lynn. There is an autograph option, inscription option. Get this one, put it next to the green monster. That would be a perfect companion piece. Daniel, thanks for setting this up. Thanks for the conversation and for always what you do.
Thank you for doing this with me, and to be continued.
Good night, all.
See y'all.